we need the generator. I don't even have a voice, but I'm not stopping.
I'm literally going to Home Depot right now to buy it.
We got the microphone happening right here. We're getting everything. Less than 15 minutes.
I'm going to take my car.
We really won the last time, but it's like
No
$70.
justice!
No peace!
No justice!
No peace!
No justice!
Hold on. He said can I get the Black Lives Matter sign in front? We're getting ready to mark. He said we got something plugged in.
Yep.
Oh, no.
Right. Wait a minute.
On the mic.
But we need our own generator.
Yes, that too, that
We don't need
too.
to spin about every time.
It's totally a thing.
Needs to happen.
Black Lives Matter sign. Okay, I'm gonna go over here and get on this.
They're moving over so they can have sound.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
All right. So guess what? Black Lives Matter is in the house, y'all. And we're gonna let Pacific Grove know that we're in the house. And that Black Lives Matter is here. And we also want people to understand to pause the cause. It's a movement that's helping people understand. And I want you to go home today and hashtag pause the cause. Pause the calls to the police. You're going to save Black lives. If you hashtag that and get enough people catching on to that, we'll save Black lives. Explain to them to handle things among themselves, to work things out among themselves. Explain to them that they can diffuse it and they can resolve conflicts among themselves. Explain to them that it's violent to call the cops on a black person. Explain to them not to use their privilege and abuse it, wasting taxpayers' money, calling the cops for their bodyguards, and to harass black people because they can exercise their whiteness. It's important for you all to follow through and help us get this message across to people even across the country, but definitely in Monterey County. I've been in Monterey County all my life. I was brought up and raised in Seaside. I am Seaside. I am Monterey County. But they're harming us in Monterey County, and they're saying that we're not having any problems here because they're pushing it all under the rug. They're covering it up. And we know there's problems. But the people that have a voice, I raised 9 children in Monterey County. They're all grown. And I raised 16 grandkids, and I have 3 of them here with me now. And I have one of my grown children here with me now. And they have covered up so much stuff happening to us in every police department in Monterey County. Don't believe the hype. It's real. It's just covered up, folks. But we want to announce it all over the county that Black Lives, they matter here.
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 Don't take us for granted. We're not taking no for an answer anymore. We're coming with our allies behind us. We're coming. I'm not even asking for allies anymore. I'm saying I need comrades and moved accomplices. We're coming with our accomplices behind us, beside us, and our shields in front of us because we're not taking no anymore. Yes, we demand change. It's happening everywhere else, and we're digging up cases, and we want these cases to be reopened that have been covered up in every city in Monterey County, in the Tri-County area. Our group is 831 on Facebook. We are a political action team, grassroots, organic organization, moving forward with direct action to make change happen. We're not asking. It will happen. We did ask the young lady at Google Grill to have a conversation with us. For 2 weeks we asked. But when we started moving forward with making things happen, that's when she responded. Go by her place, look in the window, our sign is there, Google Grill. We had that conversation this morning, and we will continue the conversation. I put a live stream up on my page, Miriam Smith, on Facebook. You can look on there and look at the conversation. She read a letter that kind of just dismissed herself from being responsible for calling the cops. What we're saying is we're not trying to do or create any violence. I noticed there were cops sitting around there like we're violent. Do you guys, for real, do you guys look like a bunch of violent folks? I don't. I mean, what am I going to do, run over with my wheelchair? Come on. We're not trying to incite violence. We're not trying to create violence. We're not violent. We are a non-violent movement. We just want change. We're not taking no for an answer. And we've heard that wait, it takes time. No, we want it to happen now. And this is the time, because we don't want no more lives lost, no more lives ruined, no more lives destroyed. Cops will come in with the attitude, I will arrest you if you don't. Don't you know that's illegal? Most of the time those cops speak up and say that to you is to a black person, and they arrest them. They give them a record for no reason. So we are here today to stand behind Black Lives Matter and to move the agenda forward. And I appreciate you. I certainly do thank you. And the next time we show up any place in Monterey County because of you, we will have a generator. And we won't have to beg. We won't have to beg, borrow, steal, or kill. So we will show up and they will hear us. If we bring our little wagon along with us and our little amplifier and our little thing, we'll march down the street and they will hear us. Because of you today, I just want to let you see, you played a big part in what's getting ready to happen next. It's the movement, not a moment. You played a big part in that. Yes. And we want everybody to show up and vote. But I tell you, I have 9 kids. They all vote. I probably control 200 votes in the city of Seaside. Family members and friends and my 9 children, we vote. But vote hasn't been being as successful as we want it to be. So now we need your support. We need your voice. We need you to stand up behind us when we speak up like today at the Google Grill. We need you to step up to the plate. We need you to step in front of us, in front of white folks, white cops that are trying to destroy black people and be our human shield. We need you to understand that without you, we cannot create this change. We didn't make this happen, so we need you to help dismantle racism and make something else happen that's fair for us all. Because people want to say United States. Well, America has never been a United States for me because I wasn't included in that. America has fallen because it's broken, it's pieces, and I was left out. As a black face, and as a black woman, and as a black mother, and as a black community member, and as a black person, I was left out of that. So America has fallen. Will you help me today put together the pieces of America and include black lives? Black lives, they matter here.
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 Black lives, they matter here. Somebody
Black lives, they matter here.
Black lives, they matter here.
Black lives, they matter here.
Black lives, they
Black lives they matter here. 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 Black Black lives, they matter here.
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 Black lives, they matter here. Black lives, they matter here. Black lives, they matter here.
Black lives, they matter here.
Black lives, they matter here. Black lives, they matter here. Black lives, they matter here. Black lives, they matter here. Black lives, they matter here. Black lives, they matter here. Black lives, they matter here. Black lives, they matter here. Black lives, they matter here. Black lives, they matter here. Black lives, they matter here. Black lives, they matter here. Black lives, they matter here.
Black lives, they matter here.
Black lives, they matter here. Black lives, they matter here. Black lives, they matter here. Black lives, they matter here. Black lives, they matter here. Black lives, they matter here. Black lives, they matter here. Black lives, they matter here. Black lives, they matter here. Black lives, they matter here. Black lives, they matter here. Black lives, they matter here.
Black lives, they matter here.
Black lives, they matter here.
Black lives, they matter here.
Black lives, they matter here.
Black lives, they matter here.
Black lives, they matter here.
Black lives, they matter here.
Black lives, they matter here. Black lives, they matter here. Black lives, they matter here. Black lives, they matter here. Black lives, they matter here. Black lives, they matter here. Black lives, they matter here. Black lives, they matter here.
Black lives, they matter here.
Black lives, they matter here.
Black lives, they matter here.
Black lives, they matter here. Black lives, they matter here. Black lives, they matter here. Black lives, they matter here. Black lives, they matter here. Black lives, they matter here. Black lives, they matter here. Black lives, they matter here. Black lives, they matter here. Black lives, they matter here. Black lives, they matter here. Black lives, they matter here.
Black lives, they matter here. Black lives, they matter here. Black lives, they matter here. Black lives, they matter here. Black lives, they matter here. Black lives, they matter here. Black lives, they matter here. Defund the police, no. Defund the police, no justice. Take it to the streets, defund the police. Take it to the streets, defund the police. Take it to the streets, defund the police.
Take it to the streets to fund the police.
Take it to the streets to fund the police. Take it to the streets.
No justice, no justice.
Take it to the streets to fund the police. Take it to the streets to fund the police. Take it to the streets to fund the police. Take it to the streets.
There you go. No justice, no peace.
No
Take it to the
racist
streets.
police. No justice, no peace. No racist police.
They
No
changed it?
justice, no peace. No racist police.
No justice, no peace. No racist police. No justice, no peace.
No racist police. No justice, no peace. No racist police.
No justice, no peace. No racist police. No justice, no peace. No racist police.
No justice,
No peace. No racist police.
no justice, no peace. No racist
That ocean is the
police.
backdrop, y'all.
No justice,
Pacific
no
Ocean.
peace. No racist police. No justice, no peace. No racist police. No justice, no peace. No racist police. No justice, no peace. No racist police. No justice,
No peace.
no racist police. No justice, no peace. No racist police. No justice, no peace. No racist police. No justice, no peace. No racist police. No justice, no peace. No racist police. No justice, no peace. No racist police. No justice, no peace. No racist police. No justice, no peace. No racist police. No justice, no peace. No racist police.
No justice, no peace. No racist police. No justice, no peace. No racist police. No justice, no peace. No racist police.
No justice, no peace. No racist police. No justice, no peace. No racist police. No justice, no peace.
No racist police.
No justice, no peace. No racist police. No justice, no peace. No racist police. No justice, no peace. No racist police. No justice, no peace. No racist police. No justice, no peace. No racist police. No justice, no peace. No racist police. No justice, no peace. No racist police. No justice, no peace. No racist police. No justice, no peace. No racist police. No justice, no peace. No racist police. No justice, no peace. No racist police. No justice, no peace. No racist police. No justice, no peace. No racist police. No justice, no peace. No racist police. No justice, no peace. No racist police. No justice, no peace. No racist police. No justice, no peace.
No racist police. No justice, no peace. No racist police. No justice, no peace. No racist police. No justice, no peace. No racist police. No justice, no peace. No racist police. No justice, no peace. No racist police. No justice, no peace.
No racist police.
No justice, no peace.
No racist police. No justice, no peace.
There you go.
Racist police.
toward the end, he called out for his mama. And that meant he called out for the mothers everywhere. And he said he couldn't breathe. And not only that, he said that he kept telling him, you got your knee on my neck. Mama, I can't breathe. And his mother was already dead. That man still didn't get off that man's neck. Come to find out, the man knew him from a club that they had worked in together. So that man knew the mother was already dead, I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure it was racial motivated, and they've been getting away with things for so long that he figured he could get away with this. Who's going to do anything? It's a black man. I only held my knee on his knee. We've been doing it all this time and getting away with it. Why can't I do it? But all of you behind me are responsible moving forward to make sure that people don't keep putting their knees on our necks. We got to take this off our back. 8 minutes and 46 seconds. He kept his knee on his neck even after the white foam was coming out of his mouth. Even after all his cries for mercy. All his cries that you're hurting him. And he even taunted him and told him, well, get up. The officer told him with his knee on his neck, other officers on his feet, on his back, on his body. The officer told him to get up. I don't know what that seems like to you all, but it seems like I can do anything I want to do as a police officer and get away with it, because they're not going to hold me accountable. And I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired. We got to get past this. What does it feel like? We're in the hot sun. Sun directly on us. 8 minutes and 46 seconds. Can you imagine dying under that? Can you even imagine that? Could you have even imagined that would happen before we saw it before our eyes? And to know that it has happened before, but they weren't filmed. The problem is this racial disconnect and this racial disparity and this racial systematic institutionalized racism has been going on. That's the difference is being filmed. Let's take note. 8 minutes and 46 seconds. Everybody when he begged the police officer to take his knee off his knee. He was calling out to us. And today, we're breathing for him. All across America, we're breathing for him. We're breathing for change. We're breathing for defunding the police. Most people think that defunding the police means to abolish the police. Well, maybe they should do that. I wouldn't fight it. But we're saying redirect those funds when we actually defund the police. We're saying redirect the funds, reallocate them. We're telling you to be creative like you told the teachers to be creative when you took funds. We're telling you to be creative. And one way of being creative is not calling the cops on people for parking in your parking space. Like the Quill lady did. Because it's yours and you have a right to do it. We're telling people everywhere, stop Stop wasting taxpayers' money. Start being wise. Be creative. Look for other solutions. But do not, please, do not call the police. Can you hold that sign up? We want you to think before the cops are called. Because Black Lives Matter. And if Black lives come into this piece of America that has never been America to me, if they come into this piece of America, then we're included. Then there's nobody left behind. We don't have to holler all that stuff that people come in with the white supremacist message, talking about all lives matter. Ain't nobody ever said all lives don't matter. You know? I have mixed. One is here, my oldest grandson. Where's he at? Stand up, boy. Timothy? I think he's back there. Oh, no, he didn't want to walk with us. I'm going to get him. But he's mixed, Mexican and black. And I have Filipino and black. I have about 3 all black out of 16 grandkids. The rest are mixed. I have white and black. His father was undocumented when he came in. And his grandparents are still undocumented. I'm documented, y'all. But it's important for us to understand that we're all in this together. The lives that have been left behind have been the black lives. Ain't nobody trying to say, don't help the Latinos, don't help the whites, don't help the Filipinos, don't help the other people. You don't have to inject yourself into that. If that piece that has fallen from the American dialogue, that piece that has fallen from the Americanism, that piece that has fallen from the American dream, that piece that has fallen from America as a United States is put back together again, is put into the pie. Then we move forward matching together with all the pieces together. It's like that masterpiece puzzle that you're putting together. We're asking for your help. We're asking for your compassion. We're asking for your understanding. We're asking you to give us a benefit of the doubt too. Because our lives matter. And all we're saying is Black lives matter too. Help us say it. Black lives matter.
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 What's our timing? Black lives matter.
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 Now, we're not saying nothing about nobody else. We're saying make us apart, keep us apart, and don't leave us behind. We're saying, like we say his name.
George Floyd.
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 So,
There's a timer.
okay, it's ready?
That was just now 8 minutes and 46 seconds.
So our 8 minutes and 46 seconds left.
Tell them to get
But guess what you guys can do? Rise up
And breathe.
and breathe.
slowly, carefully.
But
Yeah,
guess what George
find your
could not
ground.
do?
Stand there for a minute so nobody gets
He
dizzy.
could not rise up. When the 8 minutes and 46 seconds were up for him, he could not rise. We need you to understand, when we tell you to say his name, George Floyd, you don't have to interject anybody else's name. We're talking about George Floyd right now. When we say Black Lives Matter, you don't have to say all the other votes are in the seat. We're talking about the one that's calling like that. We're talking about the one that's going into a crash right now. We're talking about the one, when I say, my house is on fire, that's exactly what I said. I was ready to use my house is on fire. Everybody's house on that street is important. But are you going to rush to everybody's house on that street? Stop comparing. Comparison is tearing us apart. Let's be united and not be divided. And pick up the piece that's fallen in America. Because Black lives matter here. Let's go. Black lives, they matter here.
Black lives, they matter here.
Black lives, they matter here.
Black lives, they matter here. Black lives, they matter here. Black lives, they matter here. Black lives, they matter here. Black lives, they matter here. Black lives, they matter here. Black lives, they matter here. Black lives, they matter here. Black lives, they matter here. Black lives, they matter here. Black lives, they matter here. Black lives, they matter here. Black lives, they matter here. Black lives, they matter here. Black lives, they matter here. Black lives, they matter here. Black lives, they matter here. Black lives, they matter here. Black lives, they matter here. Black lives, they matter here. Black lives, they matter here. Black lives, they matter here. Black lives, they matter here. Black lives, they matter here.
Black lives, they matter here.
Black lives, they matter here. Black lives, they matter here.
Black lives, they matter here.
Black lives, they matter here.
Black lives, they matter here.
Black lives, they matter here.
Black lives, they matter here.
Black lives, they matter here.
Black lives, they matter here.
Black lives, they matter here.
Black lives, they matter here.
Black lives, they matter here.
Black lives, they matter here.
Black lives,
Black lives, they matter here.
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 Black lives, they matter here. Black lives, they matter here. Black lives, they matter here. Black lives, they matter here. Black lives, they matter here. Black lives, they matter here. Black lives, they matter here.
Black lives, they matter here.
Black lives, they matter here.
Black lives, they matter here.
Black lives, they matter here.
Black lives, they matter here.
Black lives, they matter here.
Black lives, they matter here.
Black lives, they matter here.
Black lives, they matter here.
Black lives, they matter here.
Black lives, they matter here.
Black lives, they matter here.
Black lives, they matter here.
Black lives, they matter here.
Black lives, they matter here.
Black lives, they matter here.
Black lives, they matter here.
Black lives, they matter here.
Black lives, they matter here.
Black lives, they matter here.
Black lives, they matter here.
Black lives, they matter here.
Black lives, they matter here.
Black lives, they matter here.
Black lives, they matter here.
Black lives, they matter here.
Black lives, they matter here.
Black lives, they matter here.
Black lives, they matter here.
Black lives, they matter here.
Black lives, they matter here.
Black lives, they matter here.
Black lives, they matter here.
Black lives, they matter here.
And you're not trying to do it, you're not trying to say, well, what about this or that? You just realize you need to put this together so you can. And I want to say thank you so much for showing up. You don't know what it means across the country for people to keep showing up because Black Lives Matter. It's very important to us, and you know what? I'm going to take a moment out to thank this business, the Quill. Listen. Before y'all leave here, support the Quill. They didn't have to do this. Support the Quill. They understand the message, I guarantee you, because they allowed us to hook up. So we want to support people that support all the lives in our country moving forward together. So thank you so much for showing up. We have quite a few people that have something to say, and I want to let them talk because we're in this together. And I'm not just saying that. I don't believe in mixing the medias and mixing the agendas. Black Lives Matter, we do it together. I went to a function yesterday. The same group did a Black Lives Matter event, Get the Kids Out of Cages event, and also a Latino young man was killed by the police. He had shot himself in the head, and he had called 6 times for somebody to help him. No response. But yet when he shot himself in the head, his cousin called, and his girlfriend ran and told him his cousin called, and the cops told his cousin to get the gun and put it in the backyard. Walked him through everything, stayed on the phone with him. He came through himself and called back again to the police, calling for help. He was crying out for help. 18-year-old young man just got a job, excited. He got to work, first day of work. His parents had went to Washington for a family reunion, so he didn't go with them. Latinx young man. When he got to work, they told him he was being promoted and going to be getting paid more money. First job. How many people know what that feels like to get their first job? So he shows up. They tell him that. He goes home to change his shoes because he needs now non-stick shoes for this job. He never made it back. He had some problems. Shot himself in the head. No, it did not kill him. It grazed his head. Just on the side. Thank God. And with that being said, he was still trying to reach out. Who showed up? Why are the cops showing up for these matters? However, the cops showed up to his house. Told the other young man that called him, who walked through everything. And by the time he got there, snipers were all on the roof when the other cousin that called for him, all on the top, all everywhere, cops ready to shoot him down like a song. That's why we got to defund the cops, you guys. Cops ready to shoot him down. And this guy was to his surprise, didn't understand what's happening. I called for help. See, some of us can't call the cops for help. It's a privilege. And we don't have that. I've not been able to call the cops for help my own self. So he gets outside. They immediately rush him and arrest him. Somebody hollers out. He says that he got a gun, but he didn't have a gun. They handcuffed him and put him in the back of the car. This is the cousin that walked out into an ambush by the cops. Stop letting them play with our taxpayers' dollars. Stop letting them play. I'm going to say it again, play with our taxpayers' dollars. And make us believe a crime has happened. When there's no crime that happened. So the young man came to that shot himself in the head. Cousin was trying to get help. That's why Community for Unity and Community 831 and Pause the Cause will step in. We gave you cards. We'll step in with other alternatives, other ways to deal with these things, where we help each other in the community, and we don't have to rely on the police. How about being a part of the public safety team in Monterey County? We're our own public safety team, and we will pause the calls to the police because it is dangerous, it is harmful, and it has not paid out to be useful for every American citizen or for every person that's in the United States of America. We're getting left behind. They're getting left behind. People are getting left behind in the name of crime when there's no crime. So this young man heard them hollering, come out the house with your hands up. He comes out the house. Now, mind you, he shot himself in the head. So he just grazed it. So his brain, the coroner came to the conclusion that the brain was swollen. So he wasn't quite all the way there. And he walks out to his surprise, hands up, and they shot him twice and killed him. That was in San Jose, California, 4 years ago. That was the first family to successfully sue San Jose, California Police Department and win, or Santa Clara. And I was there to remember his name. yesterday. So when we say Black Lives Matter, we're not saying only Black Lives Matter. But please do not co-opt the Black Lives Matter and use it for your own hidden agendas. Please do not co-opt the Black Lives Matter for a photo op. Please, please, please stop mixing the Black and Brown Lives Matter. We can help brown lives, and that's what I do too, without putting them on the agenda of Black lives. Let's separate these agendas. Let's support separating these agendas so we can move the agenda forward and so we can help Black lives, who are the ones, when we blend them together, still get left behind in the blend. Somehow you ever blend something and somehow there's a little bit of stuff that falls out of your blend and you got the best blender in the world and it seems like somehow you still get some stuff to fall out. We're the fallout. Black lives are the fallout. It's time to move the agenda forward with Black Lives Matter without including, if they can have, we had an awesome time yesterday. I mean, it was off the chain in San Jose, California. 3 different events, all because we need to defund the police, all because harm has been done as a result of ICE or the police. We had a good time, but the agendas were not Black and brown lives, because we had sense enough to know that if you help Black lives, you're helping all lives. I don't need to say Black and brown lives and put it on a piece of paper to get brown people included. How about you join the Black Lives Matter movement, and when you're doing something, I join your thing, and when you're doing something, I join your thing. Why do we always have to share the platform? And I've been telling people, pass somebody, Black the mic. Somebody real that's doing something in their community, pass me the mic. You have a platform, you have an opportunity for us to talk, for us to get our pains unwrapped and get people to know our stories. Pass the mic, please. Pass the mic. Because our stories are real. Harm has been done, and we need to move forward as we heal. Pass the mic. So there are a couple of people that have something to say, and we're going to start us off. Since Gabby is up here holding the sign, can somebody run over here and get this sign for her so that she can have something to say?
Hi everyone, my name is Gabriela Chavez. I grew up in PG. I might not know all of you, but I've probably seen you at some point. There's 3 generations of Chavez living in Pacific Grove right now. So you might know some of my parents, Francisco Chavez or Aurora Uncham, she's in the crowd too. My brother Francisco Chavez, same name. My sister-in-law Erica, she teaches kindergarten at Robert Down. We're deeply part of the Pacific Grove community, and we care so much about this special hometown. I just got involved, honestly, since the death of George Floyd with Miriam Smith and everything that she's been doing all around Monterey County. One day, if Seaside does right by her, there will be a statue of her for how much she's done for this entire county. It's really special to come here to Pacific Grove to talk about this today because we have a misconception in a lot of our communities that are so overrepresented by non-Black people that there's not racism systemically embedded here as well, which is, of course, not true. As I said, I grew up here. I am what I would consider a white-passing Latinx. I wanted to share a quick story, just a small anecdote to show things that I've seen here in Pacific Grove by PGPD. I remember one time in high school, we were gathered over at a Silmar, as we do. And it was after the time that you're allowed to park, right? So that's how they knew we were over there. And they came and they got us all out onto the street, onto Sunset. And there was a group of at least 20 PGHS students. We were split into two groups, essentially. There was about 18 of us that were white or white passing that were put on one side, and two students who were separated. And shocker, one of them was black, and one of them was a dark-skinned Latino that didn't pass for white like myself. The 18 of us, they didn't ask us any questions. They didn't ask us our name. They didn't say how old we were. They didn't ask us where we lived. They said, "You guys all get on home." Okay? They said, "Have a good night. Don't get into trouble. Leave." The other two were, as I said, separated, asked for their ID, said, "Oh, you look familiar. I need to see your ID. I need to see if you might show up in my system." And he did. And there's a reason for that. He didn't do anything different than any of his friends here living in PG, but he got singled out many, many times. This is just one time. And of course, it's not as tragic of an outcome, thank God, as some other times. But people's lives are still ruined by things like that, for being arrested for no reason, for being given a record. They can't get jobs. They don't have the same opportunities. These things happen here in our community, and it's time that we stop turning a blind eye to it. It's time that we come together and talk about it, and how we're going to address it here. When we say defund the police, it's really a refund to our communities. We're going to refund that money and put it towards services that actually benefit everyone. We're going to make our communities safer by coming together, because a safety, the sense of safety that's only safeguarded by police officers with weapons, that's not real safety. And we're going to build it from the ground up, grassroots. So thank you all for coming. We're going to keep continuing. We have some paperwork you can fill out to give us your ideas of how you would join our political action teams and how you would address all of these issues here in Pacific Grove. And we're going to keep on the momentum and keep going. So thank you all.
Thank you, Gabby. Give it up for Gabby. Right here from PG, right up and raised, and dealt with the discrimination and the discrepancies that were among our different groups in the community. But if we bind together and we dismantle racism and we work together to destroy the lie that's been told to us, then you'll realize a lot of black children, young people and older people whose lives have been destroyed through the system, it's not their fault. I have a young man, I hope he's ready to tell his story. But so many times, a white kid will do something, and then the black kid will get in trouble for the same thing, and the white kid don't get a record. How many people know about that white kid in Palo Alto who raped that person? Yeah. And he got 6 months because the judge didn't ruin his life. They have no mercy on us. The judge did not want to run his life, but he got the 6 months and they gave him 3 months. He was out of jail, record able to be expunged and cleared. That doesn't happen to black people. We are free according to the 13th Amendment, except if we're in jail. So if they can run us through the system and put us on probation and destroy us with the lie, then we're not free. Are you guys going to help us be free today?
Yes.
I need you to help me be free. It is so important that my family is free, that my black friends are free. It is so important to be free today. Don't believe the lie. We're held to separate standards than the white people. We're held accountable way too much when the police officer that harass us or run our names in the system or run our children's names in the system are not held accountable. Listen, we got to show up at the city council meetings. We got to send letters. We got to show up at the courthouse. We got to send letters to the judge. We got to show up in our community events. We got to show up at the Board of Supervisors meetings. We got to show up with the political action team and say, I'm here. You're not in school, but you're going to mark your name on the list so that you can show up and create things, create change, make change happen. And you got to keep showing up. Because if you stop showing up, they're going to say it's just like before. We mix Black Lives Matter with Brown Lives Matter, and none of them are important. And nobody moved the agenda. Nobody stood up. Nobody showed up. Nobody spoke up. And then it's the same old soup warmed over. Well, I'm tired. And I'm sick and tired of being tired of the same old soup warmed over. You show up for a little while, and then you stop showing up, and then we get left behind. Are there, would you like to tell your story, Charlie? Okay. I'm going to tell you something about things that happen to our black people. What happens to our black people, I have a young man in the city of Seaside that I always keep trying to get him to show up, keep trying to get him to make a difference with his story. And he refuses to do that. Tell me why, tell me why. You know why? Retaliation. Scared the cops gonna see their name, get their name, and retaliate. And guess what? They've been doing that. Well, guess what I need the political action team to do? Show up. When the cops retaliate in Monterey County, show up. They want us to believe in Monterey County that there's not a problem. There is a problem in Monterey County. They want us to believe in Seaside that there's not a problem. There is a problem in Seaside. All the top cities in Monterey County, Salinas, there's a problem. How come 40% of the people in the jail in Monterey County are black people? Yet, we're only 2.7% of the county. Well, that's a disproportionate rate. Of course it is if you do the math. So there is a problem in Monterey County, and we're going to dig deep, and we're going to find solutions, but we're also going to point out why we want them to redirect those funds in the police department. Defund the police. We're not saying that's not abolish the police. Somebody thinks it's equal to abolish the police. Well, let me give you an education. I graduated Seaside High, not being able to read, write, or understand written language. But today, I'm going to give you an education. Abolish the police is not equal to defund the police. Defund the police is not equal to abolish the police. We're talking about reallocating those funds to save lives. We're talking about using those funds to save our children that are targeted by the system, to save poor people who don't have a voice I speak for. I raised 9 children in my community of Seaside. And as a poor mom, then as a single mom, first husband died after 6 kids, married again, that didn't work. So I was alone again, raising 9 kids in the city. You think I wasn't target? CPS was always after me. Because, you know, a lot of white folks don't like the way black folks raise their kids. We struggle and we survive, and we're just like you. We're different, respect our differences. We love us back, and understand that we are human beings and deserve to be treated as such. Move the agenda because Black Lives Matter. We don't need to mix it. If you too ashamed as a black person to get behind that your life matter, I'll get behind it. If somebody done gaslighted you and made you feel guilty about Black Lives Matter, I'll help you out until you open your eyes. But I need you guys to help. I need you guys to join with the movement, and let's move the agenda, and let's make some noise up in here. Monterey County will hear from us today, tomorrow, until we get the systematic racism fixed in our county and in our cities. So we're not gonna not show up. Somebody, can they get anyone that has not filled out our forms and want to be a part of the movement, please fill it out. There's a front and a back to it. We need your name and your email. And it is, what does justice look like to you? You answer those questions. We also have some follow-up questions we'll send back out to you if you say you want to be a part of the movement or you just want to get flyers, because we need you to help us move the agenda, because you are important to this movement, just like we are important to you. Thank you for showing up, and we have several other people that want to say something, so I don't want to take up the time, but I'm going to give it to Annabelle. She's going to talk to you.
Thank you, Miriam. Yes, I'm so heartened to see Miriam finally getting the following and the deference that she has always deserved. A hero of this community for decades and decades now, and all that we have to do is follow her and her wisdom and knowledge of her own community in order to heal what needs healing. In order to bring healing to the pain, we just need to listen. I am not going to speak for that long because I have a public speaking issue where after about 3 minutes I stop breathing, so I'm going to be real quick. I am born and raised in Pacific Grove. I feel an understanding of this community that allows me to feel an informed pain at its lack of an embrace of this movement that I think we can change. I think that Pacific Grove has an opportunity there's so many loving people here who want to make change, and all we need to do is acknowledge the two Americas that exist. The police have always existed to protect the one America and the ill-gotten gains and pillaged wealth that exists in that one America. And if you are lucky enough to be a part of that comfy America, of white America, and you feel like this movement is some sort of overreaction, like you don't see this issue, then that is what needs to be examined, because the comfy America it's really easy to be myopic in that space, and it just can't, it's not sustainable because it's not reality, and that's right, and that's what's encouraging to me is that this imaginary bizarro world where America can be like the existence of this rift is built into the economic beginnings of our country. America was created as an economic model that protects white wealth, pillaged white wealth, and sorry, my 3 minutes is coming up. Can you hear me? Can you hear me hyperventilating? But in Pacific Grove, as Miriam said, as Miriam addressed the discrepancy in the school systems when it comes to punishment, we all in Pacific Grove, I think, knew like some punk skater kids, who were going around causing chaos all the time. And, are they disenfranchised now? Have they been exposed to civilis mortuus, which is a term that describes what happens to you after you go through the system and can no longer vote and can't get a job for the rest of your life? No, they're fine. Those white kids are fine. And I and other people who have lived in Pacific Grove and feel a familiarity with Pacific Grove do feel that there's kind of and I don't even want to say the phrase, there's an ALM contingency here that is stronger than it would be if people were just listening. If people would just listen, there really isn't a genuine way that you can hear the experiences of your fellow human and say to them, you're wrong. You're wrong about your experiences. We don't do that in our families. We don't do that to our friends. We can't continue doing that to our fellow humans. You know, in Pacific Grove, I know that there's if you are lucky enough, and blessings if you're lucky enough to be able to raise your kids in a way that I know a lot of people here are committed to doing, where you don't punish your kids punitively in the way that the world does. You're so lucky to get to do that, and you need to extend that same consideration to your fellow man, that we want to live in a world where the carceral state is not the central way that we deal with each other. You know, the language of punishment and retribution is so worked into our understanding, our language, because it's our country, and we need to get past that brainwashing so that we can understand that we can take care of ourselves, we can take care of each other, and we don't need to be controlled in this way. And seeing that it happens to Black people, we need to be realistic, deal with reality. If anyone here feels that someone in their lives needs an education on this, then, you know, there are lots of white people in this movement who can help you get that education. You know, that's a lot of work to educate others on this topic. It's traumatic. Like, let us do it. You know, come to us. We will help you talk to your friends and your family who aren't quite getting it, because there is something to get. If they're on the other side of the issue, they're wrong, and we're here to open minds and to erase that block. So, all right, I'm twice over my limit. So thank you guys so much. All right, I'm going to give the mic to Miriam. Do you want to talk again for a second? All right.
Thank you so much for showing up and for speaking up. And that's what we need. We need you guys to understand there's so many stories. And so we're going to have Charlie come. And Charlie is going to talk about his story and his experience.
Hi guys, my name is Charles. I have a lot of anxiety that comes up when I discuss things like this, but I grew up in Carmel, and I learned not only that I was Black by living there, but I also learned that this system is not broken, it's just set up a different way. I was 13 when I was first placed under arrest after being interrogated for over an hour by a Monterey County Sheriff's officer. After they had found something in someone else's locker and on someone else's possession, my third-partiness just brought me in because I was Black. I didn't know it then. I didn't know it was an issue like that. So I just, I took it like it was a normal situation, because that's what became normalized to me growing up in Carmel and not seeing people of my color, not knowing people of my shade other than my family members, my two sisters. And so that led me to a mind state and idealism that I was inferior or different than, and that's anything but. And it was the Carmel Unified School District that enforced it even further. While I was on probation, I was informed by my probation officer, who decided to risk her job by expressing this knowledge to me, that I had been wrongfully held out of that school, while the Caucasian individual with the same exact charges, facing the exact same time and everything, had returned back to school after just 72 hours. I didn't get back to that school for 2 more years. I had to go to multiple meetings all the way to the highest school board here in Salinas. That's where it's at. I was 14 years old sitting in those rooms, 8 adult males telling me they just can't help me go to school. They can't help me be part of my community anymore. but he was the white man was already back in. It took me 2 years to get back into that school, and I didn't really like it in the first place, but I understand now that me being there and my presence was important because it showed something. It showed that there's people that are still willing to fight for what's right. Seeing you guys all here, like it touches my heart. Like I don't really cry very much, but I get tears sometimes, and like, thank you guys. It really matters. I've never felt this kind of support in Pacific Grove. I've been on this peninsula for almost 25 years, and I don't come to Pacific Grove. Black lives didn't matter in Pacific Grove before. I questioned that. I see all you guys, and I know it in my heart now. Thank you. I just want to touch one more example of the underlying racism that's in our county. I was like 18 when I got I think it was my second job. My second job was above this bar in Carmel, and it was called Kinger's Kickin' Clubhouse. All K's. These are facts, guaranteed. Tons of times they try to lure me in there. Here's a free beer. I'm 17, 18 years old. I'm not a stupid person. You guys are setting me up. I'm not blind to the racism that I've lived. I just don't like reliving it. And I want to slap it out of their mouths. But I'm here to peacefully just say, this is who I am and this is how I became this way. And what I want to do is just peacefully say, I'm here. I hope I matter. And it's not even for my world. It's for these young black men behind me. That's who I'm saying this for. It's for the next generation. It's for the people who have to walk these streets after me. I want them to not feel goosebumps on their skin. I don't want to feel dirty because I walk in a place and I get stared at differently. There's no reason for me to have been a longtime member of this community and to still not feel comfortable getting my own mail. I know what I've faced and what I've experienced, and I've accepted my part, and I've done my time, and I've remanded my ways. And for me, when they say defund the police, you know, to me that just means holding the police accountable for their actions. Because if I commit a crime, I'm going to jail. So if they commit a crime, I want them in jail. If I commit a crime, put me in jail, I'm fine with that. But I think that they have a bigger problem than that with me. They're worried about that a lot more. And the police immunity is one of the first things that has to go. If you can walk down the street and commit a crime and walk home afterwards, then we're not in the same society. And I need the police or elected our police that get voted. Like, no, I need them to be held to the same standard. Why is it different for us than it is for someone with a badge who has no schooling? 6 months in a high school diploma? That's not enough to wear a gun. I just want to feel more represented in the streets that I've walked since I was a child. I just want to feel protected by the individuals wearing a badge telling me to do this or that. If I'm being told what to do, I need to feel like this is for my best interest. I shouldn't have to question the police motives, actions, and intents when I face them. I shouldn't be afraid to see a badge and a gun. I just want to thank you guys again for all being here. Thank you.
Let's give it up for Charles. Listen, folks, I don't know about you, but defund the police means a lot of things, and it does not mean abolish the police. He said a mouthful. And I want to share, in our research recently, we found out that a police officer from the city, and we're going to keep digging and find a whole lot of stuff. A police officer from the city of Seaside was drunk downtown Monterey in 2018, I believe. It could be 2017. I have to get the numbers right, but y'all can look him up. His name was Juan Gomez, I believe. Oh yeah, he's still working in the city of Seaside, by the way. But listen to me, guys. This is not fair. He was drunk in the city of Monterey trying to get in a different bar, and this bar does not allow people that are drunk to come into the bar. Security guard got punched in the face, in the eye by him, messed up his eye socket, messed him up because he would not let him in a bar. The security guy was doing his job. The police officer's chief in Seaside said he made a mistake. How many of you guys hit somebody? I want to know, black people everywhere hit somebody all the time. Nobody says they made a mistake. Nobody gives them the benefit of the doubt. Nobody lets them slide. They get a court case. He was arrested, and we cannot find the information. He was put on a desk job, and he's still getting paid by the city of Seaside today. We could not find the information of the arrest. Yet, the police officer made a mistake. Catch a drunk person that's black downtown. Let him hit somebody in the eye. They're not going to say he made a mistake. They're going to label him a criminal, and then that's that. So these are the things that we need accountability for. We need people to understand that we need you to be a part of the team and help us move the agenda, that Black Lives Matter, and help us make sure that every officer and everything they do in every city of the Monterey County is held accountable for their actions. And they get charged and they go to jail just like us. The immunity has to stop. One of the, I think it's, I don't know, I might be wrong, but Wisconsin has taken, is it Wisconsin that has taken the immunity, the qualified immunity away from the police officers? Colorado, thank you for that. So Colorado has taken the qualified immunity away. Monterey County, let's do that here so we can do that all over California. Get rid of the qualified immunity because they're getting away with murder and they're doing it at our expense. It's our dollars. And whose streets are these?
Our streets.
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 So we own these streets. It's because of us that the streets exist. So we want to understand. We want to get them to understand that our agenda is to have accountability, stop killing us, pause the cause. And we will make sure that we move the agenda that Black Lives Matter. Come on, Black Lives Matter.
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 Now, we just don't want to look at the baby. Bring him over here and put him on the mic. Whose baby is that? Bring him over here. Bring him over here. No, we need him on the mic. Come on. Come on, say Black Lives Matter. Let everybody hear it. Well, he'll say it one day. We'll get him over here. But that's all we want you to understand. We don't need no brown and black lives stuff mixed to prove somebody else is just as important or struggle like us. Because in all in a way of speaking, you know, we are pushed to the bottom. We are pushed to the bottom. Systematically, that's not her. And we're fighting systematic racism, and we need your help. Now, we get left behind because we're the kind-hearted people, join every movement, help everybody, but nobody helps us. So I'm here in Monterey County to organize organizers and to keep the agenda of Black Lives Matter and not allow us to twist it up, because we're going to all work together. When I make it happen for you, then I make it happen for the other person. Because if they keep getting away with black people and we keep ignoring black people, and I'm one of the black people that can say that has happened. We mixed the agendas before. It was dynamic, but black people got left out. They moved forward. They got things for Mexican Americans, but we don't got nothing for black people. And everything we try to get, they fight us. We need you guys' eyes open. And we need you to understand to move the agenda that Black Lives Matter. And it's okay if other people want to dilute the cause, but we're not going to dilute the cause. Yep, it is. It's a movement, not a moment.
Movement, not a moment.
Black Lives Matter movement. And it's because somebody told us that our life didn't matter. It's because somebody showed us that our life didn't matter. It's because we've been left behind way too long. And we need to speak up, stand up, and show up. And we need help. Okay, so who else is wanting to say something? I have a couple of other people. I have a young man over here that I don't know his name, but can you please come over on this side so that you can have something to address and support? He wants to talk about the 3%. So,
right here, Pacific Grove, 3% of Pacific Grove.
So, who did you say? Who else did you say wanted to say something?
All right, I'm a little nervous. I've never spoken on a microphone before, but I think it's really important that we remember that we have a police officer. Oh, up here? Okay. I just wanted to make everyone aware that we still have an officer here in Pacific Grove who...
Closer your mouth.
Oh, closer?
Or
Okay.
louder. Yeah.
Okay. And he had a car decal on, it's like a bumper sticker, I believe, on his car that was in support of the 3%ers. And the 3%ers have done a really good job of trying to, lie. Oops, sorry. And,
Come this way, honey.
sorry.
This way.
Okay.
This way.
Oh, this way.
Yeah.
And so this officer's still on paid leave, and I think it's important that we keep them accountable and we remember what the 3%ers are, and they're a right-wing militia movement that has supported the Ku Klux Klan, and there's things that they do that... closer? Okay. But, yeah, that's just about it. I didn't really have much to say, but that was it.
So what should we do about it?
Oh, I think it's important... Oh, this way? Okay. Oh, sorry. I would say something you can do is email. There's this one email that I emailed the other day. It's pio@pacificgrovepolicedepartment.org, I believe. You might have to look that up again, but I just wanted to check to see if we're ever going to find out what's going on with this process, with this officer. But, yeah. Email them your concerns and let them know that we still want to know what's going on with this officer. And we don't want them anywhere near our people of color in Pacific Grove. They may be a small population, but I don't want them, near anybody. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes. I'm going to have Chelsea come and talk to you. Go over there, Chelsea.
Yeah. Hi, I'm Chelsea Lee. I'm also one of the folks that we've grown up in Pacific Grove, and maybe we have some different feelings than maybe previous generations or even our parents had, and had a different experience growing up here, noticing and seeing all of the white supremacy culture that's kept up, maintained, and then funded by tax dollars. And I'm part of a group now called Community Before Cops. We've been partnering with Pause the Calls and other local organizing groups to try and really turn our protests into actions. So I wanted to share some of the things that are going on at the PG City Council right now. So some ways that we can actually defund the police right now. We still have police in our schools. So we have a school resource officer that's still, the city pays $70,000 every year to maintain that police officer in schools. And the school board has been very supportive of that program. So we really need to show up and show out to make sure that our money is no longer going to the police officers in schools. But we also need to make sure that we're holding our city council accountable to make real change. In our last budget cycle, many of us turned out, and what we got was a subcommittee. That's not action. So we're looking also in a few weeks of research. There's also the DARE program is still funded here. That's a program that's been debunked for decades now. I know I had that program. It was nothing but a joke. And I think the school board just voted to expand it. So we are behind the times. We have been, we continue to be, and we need to speak up, and we need the folks that are here to now think about 10 people that you know that live in Pacific Grove that are voting residents, and you need to start having the conversations and getting those people to show up with you so that we can show that actually this community no longer wants to perpetuate racism, and we're going to defund the police. So those are some of just the quick actions. But we're also going to need to be looking at who's running for city council, who's the mayor, and making sure we're leaning on these people. And I know at least in Seaside and Salinas, we have a huge, awesome contingency of young, especially Black women running for office. We need to support them. We need to donate money to them. We need to show up. We need to door knock, and we need to call our friends and family, especially as white people. The issue is that these topics continue to get talked about by people of color. And as we know, the words that come out of one person's mouth don't mean the same thing from another person's mouth, especially when all you're hearing is decades of white supremacy culture telling you not to be uncomfortable, not to push against the status quo. But the status quo is violent, and we need to end the violence. And that means that we're going to make people uncomfortable sometimes. And that's really all I want to say, but if you want to get more information, if you go to Community Before Cops on Facebook, there's also Instagram and things. There's a website now, too, where we have drop-downs for each city and the specific demands that we're looking to enact. If you want to get involved locally, please join the Pacific Grove contingency. There's a group of people there that are really trying to do research and take action. So there's ways to actually take this to the system. So join us. Thank you.
Thank you, Chelsea. Give it up for Chelsea, y'all. Yeah. Okay, can you hear me? So, the people that are left are probably the most important people in our county for moving the agenda forward in Pacific Grove. You guys are powerful because you're sitting it out, you're standing it out, and you're still here. And that's the beginning of change. Showing up and stand involved and engaged. This is something that we want to keep going around the community, but we are a political action team. And we are also Pause the Cause. Please remember to hashtag Pause the Cause and go on there and say something. You know, share your experiences. We are actually in operation as a political action team in Monterey County and pulling up things. If there's things and stories that you know that we need to research, please share the links and please share the information with us. Our group on Facebook is Community 831. We're Fest. Right now we're at 831 Fest. We're going to be at Pause the Calls, which is just PTC 831. And we're also working on our website as well, because I want you to know we're going to double team this, me and Community Before Cops. Pause the Cause and Community Before Cops came together and made some things happen here in Seaside, and we're going to keep coming together and making things happen. You will continue to hear about us until Monterey County shows that they have a problem too. We got people defunding the police all over the country, reopening up cases all over the country, and Monterey County don't want to budge. Guess what? I need you guys to help Monterey County budge. Your cities in Monterey County don't want to budge. They've covered up the lie long enough. And we are responsible. We let our money go to making us feel good and our emotions, be soothed and everything's fine. They'll get it right. Well, they ain't got it right in 50 years. They ain't got it right in 60 years. They're not going to get it right unless we get behind Black Lives Matter and let them know we're not going to let them leave us behind any longer. Do I have you with me? So it is very important that we understand what we're here to do. What happens beyond the protest? We're marching into this conversation. And guess what? We cannot, I keep reiterating this, we can't do this alone. And we did not create this institutionalized racism. We have people supporting it. Like the young lady, if you go on live stream that I have on my page, Miriam Smith, for Google Girl Today, she prepared an apology. It was a joke, but we received it. Because we're making change happen, and we're making it happen now. We're not taking our time. She wanted to say, well, before I put the Black Lives Matter part of the sign up, she put the pause the cause, but Black Lives Matter is on that sign too. Let me think about this. No, you didn't stop and think before you called the cops, knowing the cops is violent. To Black Lives. You didn't give that no thought. All of a sudden, we asked you to support Black Lives Matter, and you want to think about it? But the sign is in the window, y'all. Hello? Hello? The sign is in the window. So it's important to get behind. We stood up together today, not because we wanted to incite anything violent or do anything wrong. We just want to have this conversation, so we will continue the conversation with her at the Victory Temple Church Thursday night in Seaside at 6 o'clock. We had black preachers calling me yesterday, disturbing me while I was in San Jose at a protest, 3 protests to be exact, done by the same group that did not mix it because they understood each cause and how important each one needed their separate but together agendas. And these officers wanted me to know that she was in her, these, not officers, but these preachers and pastors wanted me to know that she was within her right. This one said she had a right to call the cops. You're right. But now as American people, and now as people in America, and now as other people than black people, we're going to make sure that when you use your right and you know that it's violent, you see that it's violent, and you choose to ignore and not do your research before, we're going to make sure you know that we're not having it. It's not a mistake. One of them told me, well, she just made a mistake. I said, no. Well, then they said, well, the caller said, call the cops, call the cops. And I said, I don't care what the caller said. Then they said, the person that was videoing said, call the cops. Then they said, well, the person that was video cussed her out. I don't care that the person that was videoing cussed her out. It was a nonviolent thing. Her job was, if somebody was in her parking space at her restaurant, that she shares the parking space with 2 other businesses, she was to go over and talk to who was in charge, or the pastor across the street of the Juneteenth function. She was to go over there and talk to them, not call the cops first. So if people are going to do directly harmful things to us, we're going to have to do direct action. She ignored us for 2 weeks. The Communities Before Cops group was constantly trying to get her to have a conversation. She didn't want to have the conversation. I said, let's picket. When she heard that we were picketing, she wanted to have the conversation. Direct action. Direct action. Sometimes people don't hear you talking. Sometimes people see and hear what you do. We don't have to be violent to get the job done, but we have to get the job done here in Monterey County. Now, I need you to come on over here if you want to say something, because you all are important. I'm telling you to pass me the mic. Pass a black person the mic. But you're a part of this movement as long as we're talking about moving the agenda of Black Lives Matter.
There we go. Got it? All right. Hi, I'm Jenna Garzanetti. I've been a Pacific Grove resident for, 10 years. I love it here. I love my neighbors. And I've been coming out to these protests since the first weekend after George Floyd died. I've met some amazing people. Just besides Miriam, I'm just amazing people. But I'm going to share a little experience with my neighbors. I was at a rally on Friday. It was a wonderful rally. There was people from Seaside who walked to CSUMB and people from Salinas who walked to CSUMB. The people from Salinas walked 13 miles. And we met together, and it was a beautiful experience. And one of my favorite things to do at these rallies is to talk to people I've never talked to before. And I got to talking to two wonderful young ladies from Salinas, not white, and they had never been to a rally before. And they said that when the white people started to show up for this rally, it gave it legitimacy. And I was shocked. I thought, no, you're the ones who give it legitimacy. We're here to stand next to you. Right? So, we need to show up. We need to stand next to them. Our brothers and sisters, we need to stand behind them. And every once in a while, if we need to, we stand in front of them. Woo! We're going to take action with our voting and by showing up. All right? Thank you guys for coming here.
Wow, wow. Let's give it up for her. This uneducated girl right here before you, Miriam Smith, did graduate from Seaside High without being able to read, write, and understand written language. Yet, I'm able to educate folks. Thank you very much. I do popular education training, and I teach people their rights. I teach them how to fight in the court. I teach them how to win. And I get cases won, get them dismissed. I get things done in the courthouse. And those are some of the things we'll be doing with our political action team. And we'll be making it happen. We need people that are lawyers. We need grant writers. We need people that will reach out and help our team move the agenda until nobody is left behind. We're tired of being left behind, y'all. And it's important to us to have a team with us. Because when we show up in those courtrooms and we filed enough motions and we filed enough paperwork and we stand up with the people, we will be a force to reckon with. They will listen to us. They will listen to us. They will listen to us. Wait a minute. Maybe you guys aren't hearing me over here. I'll talk to these people right here. They will listen to us in the courthouse with people behind us. Now, there is a story that I want to tell about a young man that is hard for me to get him out, and he will eventually come out and tell his story. Let's give it up for Charles again, because he had a lot of nerve to speak up. Do you know it's hard for black people to come out and tell their story? Yeah, Langston Hughes. Who is? Yeah, here, see that.
Langston Hughes, if any of you guys know about that name, Malcolm X quoted him and everything. He was a Carmel resident for a long time, and he experienced some serious racism. Never spoke about it, never wrote about it openly. That's what systematic racism looks like, is even after experiencing it, it's not safe to talk about it. That's what needs to stop.
Well, I'm not scared, y'all. I was going to tell you about another. Yeah, I was going to tell you about another story. I'm going to tell you my story. Some of you heard it. Some of you haven't. But I'm in a wheelchair right now, and it's because of police brutality. So when George Floyd died, I cried and I cried. And I was doing my work as helping file paperwork and getting court decisions and getting things won in the court for other people. But I had shut down my Facebook page to friends only. Actually, my attorney told me to shut it all the way down. Don't use Facebook, don't use nothing. And he told me don't tell my story. But I've been telling it ever since George Floyd died, ever since the 13th of last month. But, so I'm an activist. Somebody asked me to come and take them to the police department for a traffic. They were pulled over with traffic stop. They got a ticket. They had to show up in court. They showed up in court and they missed their next court appearance for some reason or whatever. They got a $20,000 warrant out for their arrest. So I said, oh yeah, I'll go with you. I'll take you. And then I didn't quite feel like it, but I didn't want to change my mind. When I said I didn't feel like it, I wasn't feeling good that day. So I asked somebody. My daughter drove me. So now we notified them ahead of time we were coming. So all they know is 2 black women are coming, and they're bringing somebody to turn themselves in. 2 black women. They got a picture of the black woman that they're looking for in her 30s. And I have 9 grown kids. I'm not in my 30s, y'all. I have 16 grown kids. This happened to me last year in January. We pulled up to the police department. Police came to the women's window, bamming on the window with a baton, asking for that person's name. And I said, oh, I'm not her. We came to turn her in, and we're getting ready to go turn her in just like we came for. And he kept demanding I roll the window down. Well, no need to roll the window down. I'm getting out the car. And he kept insisting and demanding and bamming on the window. I'm just showing you how they do black people for no reason, absolutely no reason. She's coming to turn herself in, dummy. What the hell? So we're there, and I get out the car, and they immediately, jerks, grab me, and I say I'm not, and call me by her and tell me I'm under arrest. And I say I'm not her. It went from there. They began to beat me. They said, we're getting ready to tase you. They tased me, threw me down. I'm telling you how cruel cops are. Why we need to defund the police. Yes. Okay? They threw me down from where I stand, pretty tall, 5'6", straight to the concrete ground. But they didn't stop there. They continued to beat me, put their knee in my back, beat me with a baton, and tased me. And they kept saying, stop resisting. Now, I never had that happen to me. But now I'm a witness to what the code is to beat your behind. And that is stop resisting, stop resisting, stop resisting. And beat you while you flex. Beat you while you cry. Beat you while you hurt. Beat you while you laying in pain. Beat you, beat you, beat you. And they'll say, stop resisting. That's the code, y'all. We had the Solidarity March the other day, and they said to Rosalind, "You are inciting a riot." And all she was giving, I was the one saying, "Y'all move forward. Come on, let's go, let's go. We're going on this freeway. Come on, come on, come on, come on." But she was telling the people, "No, we got some people to meet. We don't have, let's go on around them." Because they were there to stop us from getting on the freeway. And I'm like, "No, we're not asking. We're moving." She was there. "Okay, we're getting ready." And they said, "She's inciting a riot." That was a code to beat us. You understand, it didn't happen, but that's a code to beat us. We got to stand up and understand what's happening in our system so we can stop that. For some reason, they didn't start beating, but he hollered that, "Lion, lion." They didn't holler that to me, I guess, because I'm already in a wheelchair. But I was the one hollering, "Move forward, come on." She was the one saying, "No, we're gonna go the other way. She was getting ready to cooperate with the police. All I want you to understand is they have codes to beat you and they get away with it. And they'll say you were resisting. So I got beat. I couldn't get up. And they hollered, "Get up," beating me still. And as they hollered, "Get up," and beating me, I was saying I couldn't. I was screaming. I was crying. I was in pain. They end up numbing my whole right side from my head to my feet, my toes. And they snatched me up, continued to beat me, and put their foot in my back. I kept saying, "You're hurting me. You're hurting me." But I was resisting, y'all. Old woman. All my kids were grown last year. I had 16 grandkids last year. I had 16 grandkids when they beat me merciless. But I lived. So all I could do is cry for George Floyd, because they had him on the ground with a knee in his neck, and they had me on the ground with a knee in my back and beating me and telling me to stop resisting. How can somebody do anybody like that? How? Please, we are human beings. We are important. You don't need to mix the media. Please help me sell and move the agenda that Black Lives Matter. It's happening way too much around the country for Black lives, and we're not excluding anybody. But I bleed just like you do. I hurt just like you do. I got feelings. Even though they numb the right side of my body, even though I'm struggling with walking and I'm struggling today, I get hurt when you beat me with a baton and you tell me to stop resistance. Let's make sure these police are held accountable for their actions. It's not a joke, you guys. I know you know. But all of America don't know. They don't understand. They say, "Well, she must have been resistant." They said, "Stop resisting." Well, she must have done something wrong. They wouldn't have done that. But let me tell you how wrong I was, okay? They snatched me up off the ground, kept me in my back, continued to put, they had to drag me up, demanded I get up and walk. After beating me so bad, they grabbed me up, drugged me to the car. I demanded an ambulance. I demanded to go to the hospital. Ambulance came. They refused to put me in the ambulance. They threw me in the back of the car already in a lot of pain and hurting. And before they threw me in the car, let me tell you how wrong I was. I was so wrong. They said the lady that came around that was going to bail out the person I was bringing, they had her come and identify me because they didn't believe that I wasn't the person. You know, I'm the wrong one here. They didn't believe me. And they said, "Is this her?" After that, I did all that to me. And the lady said, "No, that's not her." So they said to the arresting officer, "What do you want to do with her?" Oh, just throw me in the garbage over there. How about it? The arresting officer said, "Book her under resisting arrest." So I had to go to jail for this nonsense. Because they beat me so bad, they wanted to keep me in jail. But when I got there, the county jail understood what happened to me. And they said, "We're not going to put you in a cell. We're going to sit right there. We're going to get you out of here tonight." They never moved that fast that I understand for anybody. This is what I was told. Because you have to still wait a couple of hours to get out of there. They got me out of there and I went to the hospital and I was in the hospital 2 days after that. But what I want you to know is my crime was trying to turn somebody in and not being that person when I got my butt whipped. And I still got charges brought on me, booked and arrested with a beat down. And so when I got to court, they gave me a court date, y'all, March the 29th. I had to drag out and go to court. Now, mind you, my whole head was swollen on the right side until just about a couple of months ago. It started going down and the headache started subsiding some, and a lot better than it was. But I showed up in court. They didn't bother to tell me that the judge wasn't going to pursue any charges. The DA wasn't going to pursue any charges. They had dropped the charges. But when I got there, they gave me the letter that they had dropped everything. They could have sent me a mail, you know. They knew this. They knew this. But when the person that I was taking turned themselves in, went to court, guess what they did, y'all? They dropped her, dismissed her case because of what happened to me. Now it's wrong, but cops get away with it way too much. That's why they were able to beat me and tell me to stop resisting. That's why they were able to do what they did. And that's why I'm in this chair today. And I refuse to allow somebody to co-opt this moment of Black Lives Matter or to get a photo.
She went the wrong way.
To get photographing of this wave that we're riding of Black Lives Matter for their own agenda or their hidden agenda, because it could have been me. I could have been the next George Floyd or before George Floyd. I could have been next. But God spared my life so that I could be here in Monterey County to tell you about it. And to continue to tell people about it. And to let you know it's no joke, y'all. This stuff is real. Y'all excuse me a moment. But what happened to him is hurtful. It's happening to our young people all over Seaside, all over Monterey County, and we're only 2.7% in the community. So why are we in jails? You all ought to be upset about that. There should be an uprising in this county as to why we're in jail. People like me get accused of something that they did not do. And they got to figure out how to protect themselves as officers, protect the corruption in the system. So they put us in jail. That's why our political action team is going to be working so hard to move the agenda of Black Lives Matter and get these people out of jail. We're pulling up cases of people in jail that shouldn't be in jail. And we're going through their cases and we're going to send letters to them. We need you to join us. We're going to send letters to them because we're going to pause the calls all over Monterey County, pause the calls all over the country. We're going to send a message to people to pause the calls and move the agenda. So you know that Black Lives Matter, then everybody is included. And then we're able to help all lives. The cops are called way too much. And they create harm in the community with others because it's embedded in their system to do what they do. So they indoctrinate new officers when they come into the force. And they teach them their narrative of racism, which is handed down like a playbook. And the black lives are excluded and given the benefit of a doubt, or making sure that they're restored properly back into the community. We must stop recidivism someone go to jail, they find another lady to pick up and send them back. Now, the young man that I'm going to talk about, his story in Seaside. He's a part of my team, but don't want to tell the story. He said 14 or 15, I'm going to say. And the cops pulled him over one day and took his picture. How many know that that's against the law for the cops to pull their kids over underage and take your picture? It's against the law for them to pull you over and stop you in the streets and take your picture. We got to teach our kids, no, that's not okay. So as a result, he grew up and something happened in his life. And he got convicted of this thing because of this picture they had took of him, claiming that he was doing something he didn't. They just pulled him over and took his picture. And they were saying, oh, he's a problem from way back here when he's adult and an issue comes up. Okay, so move forward. Other things happen. He has cancer. He's in the hospital. And he comes back here from another state because he had moved away and had a girlfriend, and he came back. Went to the hospital. The girlfriend found out she's a white girl. Shows up at the hospital. There with him until it's over. Get out the hospital. And he doesn't want her in his life. Didn't want her back. And told her that. The white girl called the cops and told the cops that he hit her. So, as a result of them building a case on him for nothing from the beginning, and then that incident, her word against his, all the witnesses didn't come to court for her and say he hit her. But there was this one cop, and I need to get his name, you guys, because I'm going to put it up on Facebook and stuff so we'll know. But there was this one cop that was from Seaside, still in the Seaside Police Department today, and he said, well, I know him. He was a character witness for a black young man who's not a problem in our community. But because they had built a record and arrest you like they arrested me for nothing, believe our story, hear our pain. Pass us the mic, please, because we have something to tell you. This young man is convicted of hitting a young lady that he did not hit, merely because she was angry that he didn't want to get back with her, and because a police officer showed up as a witness, a credible witness, no proof of nothing. They not only do they destroy us and put us in jail, they show up to dig the ditch for us to put us in as though we're dead. Because when you run black people with a criminal record, then what happens is we can't get housing, we can't get, jobs, and we can't get on a lot of programs.
We can't pass the background check.
We can't pass background check. But I want to share one thing. I've never had problems before with the police except for driving without a license. And I've gotten tickets for that. So I went to get on housing when I was living in a hotel several years ago. So I can't get on any housing programs. And they asked me had I been in trouble by the cops before, and I said no. Well, I didn't know that driving on suspended license was considered trouble by the cops. Do you not know I was turned down for that housing program? Me and all of my kids staying in the streets and didn't get that housing program because of just those tickets. Okay? They make us criminals. We don't even know we're criminals. We're walking around here and don't even know. I'm a mom, single parent, raising my children in the streets, don't have no place to go. And I'm a criminal.
Black is not a crime.
So it's important for us to understand that we have to stop this little terrible stuff. When cops pull me over now, I say, well, you know about the profiling law in 2018. Why'd you pull me over? And I'll tell the cops, and everybody needs to tell the cops, that you don't need to pull me over. If you're black and brown, there's a profiling law. And you don't need to pull me over for something really petty. They can't pull you over anymore for seatbelts. You know that, right? Just so people know, if a cop pulled a brown person over or a black person over for no seatbelt, they're not supposed to. It's definitely profiling. So if they pull you over for a little light or a little something, and you're black or brown, you can put them in check. Because most of the time they're profiling you, and that's how they build cases on these black people. And that's why so many of us are in jail. So as the political action team, we're going to dig deep. believe our stories. Let's vet the people that just take these stories from police officers and sell them. Let's vet these reporters. Let's make sure they're reporting the right news. Let's make sure that the right things are happening in our community. Because whose streets are these?
Our streets!
Whose streets are these?
Our streets!
Whose streets are these?
Our streets!
We are responsible. We are definitely responsible for making sure that the officers are held accountable and they do their job. It ain't no such thing that not all cops are bad. Because ain't nobody saying all cops are bad. But you can't have it both ways in America. You can't say because a few rioters, a few looters, and a few people that started fires made the movement of Black Lives Matter bad. If you can say that for us, Black Lives Matter is bad and they're rioters and they're a hate group and they're all this, and you can lie on us, then we can do with us. Because one bad apple will run the whole bunch. If you want to play that game, you can't have it both ways. Do not feed me your doctrine that all cops are not bad. Black Lives Matter moves the agenda that our lives matter too. Black Lives Matter too. Help us move the agenda without deleting the cause. Help us not be distracted in Monterey County and move the agenda that Black Lives Matter today, not tomorrow. And I certainly do appreciate your work, showing up, and everything that you do. And please do join our team and sign our forms. I didn't get them out, but please sign these forms. Who else? Was anybody else going to say anything that's here from Pacific Grove or that wanted to speak up? Now I'm going to pass you the mic, but remember to pass me the mic.
So we are, as Miriam said, we're collecting more stories because, as we mentioned, we want to break down the myth that this discrimination isn't happening right here in our neighborhoods and in our cities, because it is. It's crazy the amount of stories I could tell just from Miriam's family. It's incredibly wrong. I was talking to one of her 16-year-old grandsons about his experience as a seaside teen. And I just want to ask the crowd really quick, how, by a show of hands, how many of you have been pulled over or stopped by the police here in PG or when you go to Seaside? One time? All right. Who's been stopped more than twice? All right, we have a couple. This particular teenager, he's been stopped by the cops over 25 times. And it started happening to him when he was about 12. He remembers the first time it happened. That figures out to about once every 2 months this happens to him. I just want to share the most recent story, which was just before the pandemic. He got out of school. He was a Seaside High, and he was walking home. He's walking through the Target parking lot, and he told me, well, Target's a bad place because they post there. I always know something is going to happen, especially if I notice, he said, I'm lighter skinned, and sometimes when I'm on my own, I don't get stopped. But I know if I'm with a darker skinned friend or cousin, something's definitely going to happen. And on that day, he was with one of his darker skinned cousins. They were walking home from school, and someone had reported shoplifting inside of Target. They had never even set foot in Target that day, but who do you think they stopped and questioned? Who do you think they were asking to check their bags? This was just a couple months ago, and it was about his 25th time experiencing something like this. So this happens all of the time, and we're not going to pretend like it doesn't. And we want more stories. So the people here, I also want to talk to you about what's happened to you in Pacific Grove, because we're gonna talk about it. We're gonna have the city council talk about it. We're gonna have the police officers themselves talk about it, and we're gonna stop it from happening here in our communities. So thank you again. So as I mentioned, we have some forms here, and within our political action teams, we have several different committees, and we do want people to sign up for different sectors of work that need to happen and different interests that they have. For example, you know, we have one committee that is working in the courts, and they're focusing on holding judges and district attorneys accountable. We have people who are working on rather the alternative crisis response teams and the kind of community responses that we want to build up as an alternative to police departments. We have one team that Miriam mentioned that is focusing on the wrongful arrests. There's 15 different teams right now, so whatever your interest is in, you can join that team and you can become a leader in that team and push that agenda forward. And that's why it's really important to fill out those different forms that we have and be very clear about what your ideas are and what your perspectives are on how we can address this, because we're coming up with these solutions together right now. We don't have a complete game plan. You know, this has been a 400-year problem, and we're working on it together. So that's something really important, and we want you guys to all join a team or two. Okay, yeah, if you wanna, we're gonna start coming around with them. Like I said, there's a front and a back, so if you guys fill that out and get it back to us today, we're going to keep moving.
I can't see my friends anymore, and I was starting to get emotional from everything, what happened, and when it started to happen, I was shocked when George Floyd died. And I keep seeing videos about protests happen, and a lot of police are throwing tear gases at them and rubber bullets, and that makes me really sad that we keep losing everybody that we love and everybody that we're trying to keep safe from the pandemic. And a lot has changed me, and I was really shocked what happened in 2020, because Australia made me really sad too, because wildfires were starting, and I thought, because animals are dying too from pollution and the trash we're all throwing in the water, and we're trying to save our earth as we try, and we are trying to save the earth as well, and our people too that we love, and we are trying to stop doing our stuff like smoking or doing a lot of random things that we do. And it was really sad for me that when I see people doing their adult stuff, it made me think that was wrong, because I feel like when I grow up, I feel like it's not gonna happen to me. And then after when I wanted to grow up, I wanted to be a police. And then when I first started to see this, I was like, I don't want to be a police anymore. I just want to be kind to other people and not hurt them. And then I was really, really upset that we are all dying from the polices, and they are really cruel. And keep taking videos of people dying and getting killed by the police, and everybody are not safe, but sometimes are safe, but the black people are not safe. But it feels like I'm not safe in this world either, and like it feels like it changed my mind that I wanted to be somewhere else, that I could be being alone, thinking about everything I've done to my family members, and I was really, really upset that
been doing a lot of bad things at my family members, my mom, my dad, my sisters, and me. I was thinking that I couldn't try everything I had. I tried everything I could do. So, and then after 2020 just came by, I was like, oh, everything is gonna be okay. But then now everything is not okay for me. So, and then after the Black Lives Matter and the pandemic started, when the pandemic, I was really, really sad that I wanted to go back to school just to see my friends. And we are trying to be with their friends, hanging out, because we really miss them a lot. And people are trying to poke holes so they can breathe harder in our masks, because like people are like don't like it when we put our mask on, and we have to stay 6 feet away from each other. And it's like, I can't do this anymore, and I couldn't like believe what was happening today. And fires are starting at cities and stores, and I was like, we can't buy anything because we're just like being people that we want to be. And I just want to be a normal kid, like being kind and not hurting each other. So this is why we say George Floyd forever. We have to know everybody who died. We keep making lists who died, and we have to be really gentle to each other. Like, we have to be gentle to other people. We have to be gentle to the water or animals, because they have, we have hearts in each other, because we have to stick together and save everybody that we love and the earth too.
Even the kids know that Black Lives Matter.
Hello, everyone. My name is Marilyn. I'm kind of a recent a member of the movement in this area. Let's hear it for our young friends who are so young and they are so knowledgeable of what's happening. Let's hear it. And let's hear it for Miss Miriam and her story and her work. So if you weren't radicalized by what Miss Miriam said, remember that it's not just physical police brutality that hurts our communities. The reason why we want to defund the police and fund our communities is because police are expected to be mental health workers, de-escalators, educators, and they are not trained to do this. All of these services have been put to them and they are not trained for it. And that's why we want to build our community systems that can care for our communities better. What creates crime? You know, we have mental illness, we have poverty and homelessness. All of these things need to be fixed to truly care for Black lives in our community. So I have a story about just incompetence and lack of care in our police staff in this area. So I live in Seaside and work at the Marina Library. And this year, a white woman in the library began assaulting. I don't want to conflate mental illness with racism, but I do believe that she was having problems. But at this point, she was being violent to people in our library. She threw a drink cup at my small white passing Latina manager, and she ran outside, and there was a young black man in the parking lot, and she began screaming racial epithets at him. She began screaming the N-word at him. So he began to film her, to try to film her with his iPad, because, as we all know, us white people don't believe the words of black people. We only believe video and film evidence. And even then, not so much, because again, this has been happening for centuries. Only now that we've been able to document these incidents have any sort of justice even begun to happen. So she began screaming racial epithets. She began to try to film her. She tried to run him over with her vehicle. And as my manager ran out of the building to try to follow her because she was obviously not doing well, being violent, she tried to run him over. She filmed his license plate. So at that point, because she's on the road, she had attempted to murder someone. We did call the cops at that point. So the cops came, and what did they say to this black man who had almost been killed by this woman? Their response was, "Why were you filming her if you knew she was worked up? Why were you filming her if you knew she was worked up?" Now, we know that our black women and other women of color can't call the cops if they are assaulted or raped, but this is the "what were you wearing" of the Black Lives Matter movement, right? Mm-hmm. What were you doing to be victimized? How is it your fault that you are being victimized, that violence is being done to you? It is not. The fact that they victim blamed this black man who did nothing but walk in the parking lot is part of the injustice that we have to fight. We have to stand up with this insidious lack of care and empathy in our organizations, in our businesses, in our hiring practices. White people, you gotta stand with us. We have to support our black community members, and we just can't let it stand anymore. All of these small things build up to violence and brutality. So we have to fight it on all fronts. And again, Miss Miriam has all of her political action teams for all aspects of ending systemic racism, of ending police brutality. So please support her, and thank you very much.
Thank you, Marilyn. It is so important to show up and understand that the police are not there for black people. You have some affluent black people that like the ideal of the police. And the police started for black people as slave catchers, but they're not there to serve black people. I have not been able to call the cops. She is so correct that when they show up for us, nothing really happens. We can't get them to serve us. I called the cops. I was beat up real bad when I was 20-something years ago. Pregnant with, I think she's 27.
My phone's gonna die.
With my 27 or 28-year-old. I was 6 months pregnant, and this is the last time I called the cops. I might have called one more time, but I waited over 3-4 hours, and they never came. But my last time having an encounter after calling the cops, they showed up. The person that had beat me was bold. I'm not going nowhere. There was a guy. Anyway, I said, I want him arrested. The cop said, we can't arrest him unless we arrest you. Because he said, I hit him. Now, I look beat up. I was beat up, and I didn't hit him. The bottom line is, the cops don't do anything for us. Like she said, if a woman was raped. They're like, what are you wearing? What did you do to provoke this? We're victimized for using the police, especially if we're black. And women are constantly victimized for calling the cops as well. So it's really important to know that Pause the Cause is the agenda to move in Monterey County. Because Pause the Cause will serve the community of Monterey County. We will create things together. If it doesn't work this way, we will find a way to work it. We won't be so systematic, so racist, that we don't change our way of doing things, even though it's not working and it's destroying lives. And that's what's happening with our tax dollars when we constantly fund a program that has failed black lives. And many others will tell you it's failed their lives as well. But we're moving the agenda of Black Lives Matter, and it's very important to understand. They don't show up for us anyway unless they're harassing us, or we actually to de-escalate things among themselves. Because when they show up, they escalate things. So they don't show up unless they're harassing us or escalating. We ask you to get to know your neighbors, get to know each other, have programs, have dinners, meet, have community invites, have tea. Get to know your neighbors. When this pandemic is over and you're feeling safe, get to know your neighbors. Even if you're feeling safe like you come out today, get to know your neighbors. Let's become a community and not leave anybody behind. I'm tired of being left behind. And I want you to understand that. And many black people are, and they have been shamed of speaking up. They've been scared of retaliation, or scared of somebody gaslighting them, or somebody making them feel bad or shamed for speaking up for themselves. Like, you know, when things happen to me and me and my children are homeless out in the community, we can't share that. We can't speak up because it's somehow our fault. But I want you to know it is by design that the system is against us. And it's not our fault. I used to get so confused in the head because I have a very high IQ, but I couldn't read and write. Now, how did that happen? Oh, I'm a black person going to school at Seaside High, in Seaside, and they let me pass through. Because they got paid for me going to school. There was nobody there for me to make sure I got an education. So I got left behind. So my head would just get hurt trying to figure out, how is it? It was always an oxymoron to see, you know, your friends you grow up with get treated one way and you get treated another.
So sorry.
And it was always
You're
when
gonna
you
miss
speak
this
up.
end of this last
I don't know, it
speech.
looks like it's because
But if I don't save this, Facebook will lose it.
Oh, don't pull that race card off.
I gotta
Oh,
hit the finish button. We are in.
White folks that are grinning in your face, smiling, and explaining to you, well, it's not like that. You know, it's not like that. I was just so confused because I knew it was like